Hey future Maddie, it's past Maddie that doesn't really want to be doing this, but I'll do it for you, because I love you. Today we'll be going over the Unit 1 problems given to us for our Quideo. For the basic problem, we were presented with a Forbes magazine survey taken in 1993 on the age and salary ranges of 58 small business CEOs. To analyze this problem, we had to make a histogram of the data and describe the distribution of the data. So the histogram of the salaries by the thousands, as shown, is skewed to the right. The median of this is approximately $350,000. The 5-number summary of the distribution of CEO salaries is a minimum of $21,000, a quartile 1 of $250,000, a quartile 3 of $543,000, and a maximum of $1,103,000. The data includes one outlier at $1,103,000, which is between $1,050,000 and $1,200,000. For the advanced problem, we were presented with a published paper survey taken in 1864 on the chest measurements in inches of 5,783 Scottish militiamen. To analyze this problem, we had to make a histogram of the data and describe the distribution of the data and give reasons why the description of the data, would be useful. The histogram of the chest measurements in inches, as shown, is skewed to the right, and it's pretty far skewed to the right. The median is 40 inches. The 5-number summary of the distribution of Scottish militiamen's chest measurements, gosh, I can't talk today, is a minimum of 33 inches, a quartile 1 of 38 inches, a quartile 3 of 41, and a maximum of 48 inches. The data includes 4 outliers at 33, 46, 47, and 48 inches respectively. This information shown by the description of the data is useful because it allows for a better analysis of the data. If only the data would be shown in a table, it wouldn't be unintelligible to anyone but a statistician, and they know what they're doing. With the description of the distribution, a common person would be able to look at the graph and understand basically what's going on there. So if, say, I was to look at it before this class, I would be able to understand it, which I pretty much do right now, though it was out of order when it was given to me. For the AP problem, we were presented with the U.S. Department of Agriculture's super dump cleanup efforts in 3 different rivers from the early 1990s. To analyze this problem, we had to first compare distributions between the rivers that had samples taken, and then also construct a stem plot of River Z's data to evaluate the difference between the information shown by a stem plot and a box plot. The box plots of the 3 rivers that had samples taken from them by the Department of Agriculture, as shown, were skewed to the right, approximately normal, and skewed to the left from X to Z. The median of River X is approximately 5.2 parts per million, whereas the medians for rivers Y and Z are at approximately 5.0 parts per million and 4.3 parts per million, respectively. That's a huge difference between the two. Between the 3, I mean, actually. Gosh, this is hard. The 5-number summary for the distribution of River X is a minimum of 3.0 parts per million, a quartile 1 of 3.7 parts per million, a quartile 3 of 4.5 parts per million, and a maximum of 5.1 parts per million, whereas the 5-number summary for River Y is a minimum of 3.2 parts per million, a quartile 1 of 4.1 parts per million, a quartile 3 of 6.2 parts per million, and a maximum of 6.5 parts per million. And the 5-number summary for River Z is a minimum of 3.6 parts per million, a quartile 1 of 4.5 parts per million, a quartile 3 of 7.4 parts per million, and a maximum of 8.7 parts per million. The outlier, I didn't consider any of the outliers in this analysis because the box plots don't allow for an accurate representation of outliers in a data set. When we moved onward to the stem plot of River X, we can instantly see the difference between the stem plot and the box plot of the data. The stem plot clearly reveals the large gap in the data between 5.6 parts per million and 7.3 parts per million, because the 6 literally doesn't have anything in it. This wasn't shown in the box plot because they're not equipped to show gaps in the data that are not considered outliers in the data. So anything that is hidden with the data won't be shown in the set because of how it's made as a box plot. So I guess that finishes our problems for this time. I really hope life is going well for you, and I look forward to becoming you, I guess. It's kind of far off, but I hope it goes well.